same thing. So I'm like, all right, so what I want to do is we're going to go through, and by the way, sometimes you'll go through like different parts of the demo that you might want to see how their goals are, how they build rapport connection. But come on, if I'm sitting down with somebody, I'm like, hey, I want you just went through the knives with me. You just showed me the knives, and I want you to transition from the knives to prices and close me, asking for, if I want to buy anything. So I just want to see exactly how you transition from, we just finished the table knife, how do you transition to talking about prices? How do you close the sale? All right, so do it as close as you do to a customer. If you stand, do it that way. If you sit, do it that way. If you do like weird things, just do whatever you do. The more you do it as if it were happening, the better feedback I can give you.
Right.
So when people tell me at the end, well, when I'm in a demo, I do blank, I want you to do it as close on a demo so that we don't hear that. Cool? So
gotcha.
I am Ms. Jones. Ready, set, go.
Cool. So Kathy, when was the last time that you got to price high quality cutlery?
It's been a while.
No worries. Most people do it when they're married. Cutco is top rated. Sorry. Can I backtrack real quick? Okay. So Kathy, when was the last time that you got to price high quality cutlery?
I don't know.
Cool, no worries. Most people do it when they're married. Just so you know, when it comes to high quality cutlery, it's like anything else. There's a wide variety of quality and prices, and Cutco is top rated, so we only compare to the highest quality brands. I have a price comparison from our top competitors in stores, Wusthof and Shun. Have you ever heard of these companies before?
I've heard of Wusthof.
Yeah, Wusthof is very popular. Just so you know, Wusthof and Shun are just very high quality sets. Think like BMW fully loaded 7 Series. Each brand has different types of sets, which range in price. The price for this Wusthof Icon Blackwood, sometimes it'll retail for $3,435, but sometimes you can find it on sale for about $2 grand. There are a couple. Sometimes you can find it on sale for about $2 grand. I'm sorry, I'm looking in there.
No, I know. I put you on the spot. It's okay. And even when I'm with the reps, same thing. They're always like, I'm like, I get it. No worries. You're good.
Gotcha. There are a couple. No, Jesus. Sorry. Backtrack a little bit. Yeah, so the price for this Wusthof Icon Blackwood sells for about $3,435. Sometimes you can find it on sale for about $2 grand.
Okay.
There are a couple differences between these brands and Cutco. Wusthof has mostly straight edges, which you're going to have to sharpen constantly, which is a bit of a hassle.
And by the way, he's more advanced. This is not going to be most of your reps. So he's been here this summer, and I do skills checks at different times in people's career. Most of the people you're skills checking should be reading straight off their manual, and he could even be reading off of it, but I know he's a little bit more advanced. But I'm still looking to make sure he's following through all the stuff. But just so you guys know, very rare do you have someone saying it and he's following along the script without looking at it much. Most people, and like, can I use my manual? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. We want them reading from it. But go ahead. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. So Wusthof mostly has straight edges, which you're going to have to sharpen constantly, which is a hassle. They're not recommended for the dishwasher, and their warranty is on manufacturing defects only. In comparison, Cutco has the universal wedge lock handle, the exclusive double D Stay Sharp edge, and we have the 4-part guarantee, which includes the free sharpening and the 15-day money back guarantee. Sorry. Mm-hmm. So most Cutco owners that have Cutco would say it's at least 10 times better than any knives they've ever used. Just considering the unique features and the guarantee, most people would agree that Cutco is at least twice as good as Wusthof. So when something offers twice the quality and the value and lasts forever, most people would expect for it to be twice the price. Even if we got the sale price of Wusthof at twice the price, we're talking over $4,000 for a set of Cutco. Let me show you what you get for that. So you get your 10 basic tools, your 8 table knives, the block, you get a cutting board and a sharpener for your straight edges. Now the best part is that Cutco doesn't cost $4,000. It doesn't even cost the sale price of the Wusthof set of $2,000. Your basic homemaker set actually only sells for $1,212. Now most people don't have $2 grand waiting for the weird knife guy to show up. Mm-hmm. So what most of our customers like to do is they take advantage of our 100% refundable money back guarantee. So you would only put down a 20% deposit. And like I said, that's 100% refundable. So it would only be $265 today. It includes tax. And once again, just as a thank you for letting me come by, especially on such short notice, I can actually get you $350 worth of free Cutco. So anything that you see, like maybe like those kitchen tools or even like the super shears that you like, I can actually throw that in for free. So I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you, would you like to try out your homemaker for $265 today and get your free gifts?
Okay, cool. Well, you made it back perfect time. Little chai tea action.
Can we see how he drops down?
Huh? Not right now. We can watch that in a moment. I want to go through. So by the way, my first skills check is normally it's just the close. I want to watch that. Second, I'll watch them dropping down. If you have time, you can go through like the PC number 2 or 3. I think 3 goes through the whole drop down. But this is in PC number 1. I have them do this real quick just so I see where they're at. And then throughout their career, then 2 weeks later, do full. And, like I keep looking at different parts of it. So just with this, okay. 1, overall, really solid job. So overall, really solid job. I just have a couple of quick things, and then I want to walk through with you guys how I walk through the step-by-step of like what to look at with them, because I want to make sure you guys all know how to skills check someone properly. So in terms of what you guys saw, any feedback? I mean, he did a really solid job, really solid job.
Yeah, definitely so good. God, that was a great close.
I wouldn't say that, but he did a really solid job. I would rate him on a 6, 6.5 on 1 to 10.
I say, kind of like how Kathy always says, slow down, because this is where you want to be like chill.
Gotcha.
Yeah. For sure. Other things?
I liked his like explanation and his tone. It was very friendly. It was very inviting. You weren't kind of like so slow to where you're like, I hope you understand, but it's like casual and it's very like, it's open. And it's just when you were breaking down, you started talking a little bit faster. Like you said, it was slow, so a lot of things sounded blended.
Okay.
It was kind of hard to pick
That's
up
where
you
spoke faster. Because going through, you had a good speed, good tone.
Yeah.
But at the end, you definitely you went a little bit fast there, where it like kind of mumbled. I lost it. I know what you're saying.
Right.
But if I did it, I would have been a little bit lost at the end when you were writing down those prices.
Yeah, so recently, Kathy just said, would you like to put down a deposit today and get your free gift? You said the value way up high.
A lot.
You said you basically gave the highest end versus just saying free gift. They could be like, ooh, cool, an ice cream scoop, but you gave them like
Gotcha.
everything.
Yeah, I put
You don't have
down.
room to work with.
Never. That, by the way, that definitely hurts your sales and ability to like do deals and stuff.
Right.
So you do not need to offer a third and free stuff when you're closing.
You don't have wiggle room.
Just say free gift. So a couple things. So one, and then by the way, once people learn, so he's already learned the BMW analogy, which means they've been to an SLDM, or they've learned my code, like that's more advanced. But what I've seen is I've skills checked a couple people in these past 2 weeks is that they use it incorrectly. So even there, you were just like, oh, it's like a BMW. When I use a BMW analogy is when I say there's different sets that range in price, just like BMW. They have 3, 5, 7 series. This is a 7 series fully loaded.
Gotcha.
So I'm using it to explain how these brands have different sets that range in price, right? Because BMW has different cars that range in price, different series that range in price. So that's where I'm pulling that analogy in. Cool. So just so you know how to use it correctly. So let's go through this. When we skills check someone, and by the way, sorry, no need to write Woostop prices. They're right here. You don't need to write them down.
Okay.
You'll just write the double. You don't need to show the knives. I would never show the knives again. When you go back to saying what comes in it, and you can just go back. So the basic set once again. So just showing the picture of the set. So wherever, I don't know how the heck your book is designed, but I'd say, so again, the basic set has the 7 knives, 2 forks, and a spatula. It has the 8 table knives. It has the block. It has the cutting board and the sharpener for the straight edges.
Gotcha.
I would be showing the set. You want them to buy a set. You don't want them looking at pieces.
Right.
Cool?
Gotcha.
So whenever you go back to explain, if you go back to anything, it's to the picture of it. And I always want to make it as simple as possible. 7 knives, 2 forks, and a spatula. All right? So keep it simple, keep it basic. So don't show the knives. And then you didn't really do a good job explaining the first call special. And so part 3, and we'll walk through the different parts. So part 1, so the first part 1. So there's 3 parts to the closing. What are the 3 parts to the closing? The first part is what? The first part is comparison. Cool? So write this down so you all know this. So first part is comparison. So I tell people to rate themselves. Comparison is what's on page 8, right? So you did a really solid job starting off with, high quality cutlery. Just like anything, there's a wide range of quality. So things that you want to make sure they're always hitting on, which he did do it, Lio don't, is you want to make sure they're talking about how there's a wide variety of prices. Cutco's top rated, so we only compare the highest quality brands. those are things I underline in someone's manual when I'm skills checking them, just making sure they say, hey, when it comes to high quality, it's like anything else. So making sure they're saying it's like anything else. There's a wide variety of quality. Cutco's top rated, so we only compare to the best. Cool? Why do we say that? And explaining why do we say that? Well, you're just setting up why you're about to show them expensive stuff. Why? Because Cutco is what? Top rated, so we only compare to the best. Now, when it's the best of anything, is it cheap? No, the best costs money. So when you guys go through this, and Zyla, Deb, I mean, I want to make sure from the top, this is coming the same way because I'll be gone out this fall, is that everyone's doing that and they understand like before you bring out the Woostock price, you're saying that to set it up. So that Ms. Jones goes, whoa, that's a lot for knives. Well, I'm showing you the best because Cutco is the best, right? So that's what that phrase is doing. It's setting that up. So you're like, hey, when it comes to high quality cutlery, it's like anything else. There's a wide variety of quality and prices. Cutco's top rated, so we only compare to that stuff. And then now you show the comparison. Cool? So this right here, these are comparison for our top competitors, Woostock, Schön. These are German, Japanese, you know, whatever, if you get the details. If not, it's like, oh, have you heard of them before, right? Most people have heard of Woostock that have homes, Woostock for Henkels. Some haven't. Cool. Like, so these right here are high quality sets made overseas. And this is what you want to make sure they're doing here is that they're building them up. He could have done a little bit of better job building them up a little more. He didn't really build them up much at all. You know, he was just right on, so it wasn't bad. But you can be like, hey, these right here, if you go to a store, these are top rated in stores. Oh my God. Okay, there we go. Too many things. So this right here, I'm like, so if you go to like Williams Sonoma, Mason, like this is your top stuff in stores. I'm like, it's fantastic. These are German. They've been around over 250 years. These are Japanese. So again, this is more advanced. You're more advanced. So that's why I'm saying that. But with new, so because he's advanced, I'm telling him to build up. If he was brand new, he did a great job. Like, great job, right on it, didn't knock him down. What most new reps do is they knock them down. Yeah. They go, and isn't that so expensive? Or like, is it like, they just say random stuff like that. They're like, yeah, and it's so much for knives, right? And like, oh my God, these are like, they're good, but like not as good as that. Like they talk too much during that part, trying to knock Woostock down to make us look higher. I'm gonna tell you right now, majority of your representatives, over half at least, but I would say closer to 70, 80%, actually say something to like make them a little bit lower. Like where it doesn't say anything to make them lower here, actually, okay? And when you get advanced, you actually wanna do the opposite. You wanna build them up a little bit, because the higher you build them up, what are you doing? The higher you're building us up. So right here, when you talk about it, so most reps will say something like, oh, and that's so much for knives, right? Or yeah, and they're not even that good. Or like, yeah, they're not, like they'll say something bad about them. Never. So I always, when they go, hey, these are high quality, I wanna make sure to watch when I'm watching someone that they're not knocking them down. And an advanced tip would be, hey, it's okay to build them up a little bit and say, hey, these are the top you're gonna get in stores. So if Cutco couldn't exist, I'd recommend this. They're fantastic knives, been around for, you know, a couple of centuries. So they are really good. There are some major differences between us and that, and then you're gonna go into that, you know. But when you say, hey, these are top, they're best you're gonna get in stores, so obviously they're not cheap, right? Because what are you talking about? Like the best cost money. People know the best cost money. So right here, so you said high quality, made overseas. They're two of the top selling brand in stores. And then I always underline each brand has different types of sets, which range in price. That's where I throw in the BMW example. So when I put it in someone's, if I teach someone that or if they know it, this is where it is, BMW. So I use that to like connect the two. So I'm like, so by the way, each of these brands has different sets that range in price. Kind of like BMW, how they have like 3, 5, 7 series. This is their 7 series fully loaded. So obviously it's not cheap. They retail over $3,000. You can find them on sale for about $2,000. There are some differences between us and them. And now we're gonna go into that part, all right? So those are really important things when you guys are skills checking that you're looking for, okay? So do they set up the beginning, wide range, Cutco's the best, we only compare to the best. Do they build up, hey, this is great stuff, or are they knocking them down? So check for that. And then when they say, hey, each brand has different types, you know, types of sets that range in price, that's an easy place. That's an advanced tip you can give is they can throw in, hey, like BMW, it has like 3, 5, 7. This is the 7 series, it's the top. So again, Miss Jones knows why it costs a lot, right? 7 series costs a lot more than a 3 series. So then here I'm like, yeah, so these retail over $3,000. You can get them on sale for about $2,000. There are some major differences. So I'll circle major differences. I'm like, so now we go through the differences. I'm like, so Woostock has this, where, you know, I'm like, so what happens now is you're telling them about Woostock and then you're telling them how we're comparing. Boom, we're better, all right? So then it says, Cutco owners will tell you. So I always put a star next to that. and then I put where it says Cutco owners, I make a little note, or you can right there put name drop. All right, so right where it says Cutco owners, put name drop. Anytime you bump into anybody that owns Cutco that they might know, or anyone that's personal in your life that has it, you can drop them there. Cool? So I'll say, hey, Cutco owners, like my grandma's who's had them from 1957. My best friend's parents has had them 47 years. My youth leader has had them since the 70s, 1976. And like, oh, you know, Miss Smith, Miss Gutierrez, like, they'll all tell you it's like 10 times better than any knife they ever used. So anything that's personal to you and anyone that they might know, you name drop them. Cool? So Cutco owners like will all tell you that it's like 10 times better than any knife they ever used. I know you haven't had a chance to really use it that much yet, but considering the unique features, the guarantee, most people agree Cutco is at least twice as good as the overseas brands. And well, when something's twice as good, offers twice the quality and value, what do you expect to pay in price? Yeah, more for sure. So even at twice the price, if we use the sale price, you'd be talking over $4,000 for a basic set of Cutco. Cool? So that is the comparison. Everyone good? And by the way, when they do it to me, I usually do it right back and ask them, hey, what do you notice different? Or you can go section by section. So I just did that section. I'm like, what do you notice different? Like, oh, and I'm like, you just want to get comfortable with it, but just make sure you talk about there's a wide variety and you're setting up why you're about to show them expensive stuff. When you show them the prices, why do we say there's these sets range in price? Because Miss Jones might have Wusthof that she paid $1,000 for because she got Wusthof Classic, which is good, but it's not the best one. It's a 3 series, okay? So when you say each one has different, you know, brands that range in price, now she goes, oh yeah, no, I didn't buy the 7 series. You know, like they bought a lower grade, so they understand versus like, oh, you're lying or you don't know what you're talking about because mine only cost $1,000.
Right.
You guys with me? Because they could say that, like your customer could say that because they didn't pay that. So what happens is you lose credibility to the customer because they think you don't know what you're talking about because they paid less. Got it? That's why it's in the manual. And that's why I tell you when you're new, just read it because everything is here for a purpose. And if you skip stuff, you could miss stuff that's very important psychologically. And everything plays a role in it. Cool? But what you're doing there is making sure Miss Jones stays with you and you keep all credibility, acknowledging that there are different sets that range in price. But hey, this is the top stuff. This is our fully loaded 7 series. And that's why it costs. So now she knows why it costs $3,000 when she only paid $1,000. Got it? All right. So really important. So on the comparison part, I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, if I had to rate you on the comparison, you were like 8.5. If not more, maybe 9. The things that were missing for me, you could have, as an advanced rep, you could have built up the competition a little more, and you could have name dropped people. Cool, that's it. But it was, yeah, probably 9 out of 10. So 8.5, 9. A really solid job on the first part, which was the comparison. Everyone good? What's the second part of the close? Remember? Price presentation. You guys all need to know this. I've said it a million times, and I want you to like get it down. So first part of the close is what? Comparison. What's the second part of the close? The price presentation. What's the third part of the close? Ask for the order. All right? Ask for the freaking sale. So those are things you're testing them on. Those are things that you're checking. So part 2 is price presentation. Cool? So now, the only thing that should be on their paper, they don't need to have any of this written down. They just need the double the price, the 4,000, okay, is all they need, or whatever they're using. But I just say, hey, even if we use a sale price, at double the price, you're talking over 4,000. Cool? So now I'll do it for them. I'm like, so as I said earlier, our Homemaker +8, like our basic family set, is our most popular set. Has the 10 basic tools, the 7 knives, 2 forks, and a spatula, has the block, has a sharpener for your straight edges, has a cutting board, and it comes with the traditional 8 table knives, all right? Now, the great thing about it is that, oh, by the way, if you were, and you could ask before or after, sometimes I ask before and after, but like if you were considering a set, would you want it with the table knives or with like steak knives?
Gotcha.
All right, so they'll say whatever. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, well, hey, the great thing is that none of our sets are $4,000, or if I'm brand new, I'm like, so the great thing is that our Homemaker set is not $4,000, although it would be if it was sold in stores. As a matter of fact, it's not even as much as these here, which retail over $3,000. Cool. Our basic Homemaker is actually only $1,212. All right, so everything's about 20 to 30% cheaper than the stuff you're buying in stores. So you could pay for it in full. That does include the shipping. Most people didn't put away a couple grand waiting for the knife girl to stop by. I always say that, joking around, but I'm like, so what most people do is take advantage of our 5-month interest-free option. You know, when I'm with someone brand new, I'm like, so 5-month interest-free investment option. I go, now, if you go field training or watch people or something I teach in advanced training, is that highlighted bold part right there, we replace that with what? Sometimes they know. Right, and I'm like, so you could say most of our customers take advantage of our 5-month interest investment option, or you'll hear a lot of the top people say most people will take advantage of our deposit program. Right. Cool? And so this is what it looks like. So I'm like, so Ms. Jones, you could pay for it in full, but most of our customers take advantage of our deposit program. And what that lets you do, it lets you put down 100%, and then you want to slow down more here. This is the part you want to slow down. So this got really fast. So 100% refundable security deposit. And this deposit for any set, you can put down 20%, cool? Gives you 3 weeks to try it and just see how you like it, all right? So 100% refundable deposit, 3 weeks to try it out. And all you would put down for this would be $265, and you would get it, have the 3 weeks to use it, see how you like it, and then go from there, cool? So we have something called a buy now bonus. And what that is, it's a reason to buy now versus later. It's a thank you for buying now versus later. And if you wanted to put down the deposit and try that set today, as a thank you, I could actually get you a free gift. And if you wanted to give a monetary amount, I would not go over $150. Cool. Gotcha. So I would just say you could actually pick up $150 in free gifts. Because that in and of itself is like, oh, shoot, cool. I'm like, so you could get some of the different gadgets, decision appealer, like you can pick out some additional things from the back. So I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you, is that a set you want to go ahead and try today? You could pay in full or just put the deposit. That way you can get it, try it out, and see how you like it. All right, and that would be a deposit close. If I was doing it as a brand new rep, I'd say, I wouldn't be doing my job and ask you, do you want to go ahead and try that set out today? All right, you could pay in full, or you could use the 5 months, interest free or whatever. And there's different ways of asking for the order. As you get more advanced, you'll see the top guys be like, so did you want to do that in Classic or Pearl? Do you want to pay in full or in payments? And like, that's them asking for the order. Like, cool, which card do you want to put it on? But just being brand new, you should say, hey, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you, do you want to go ahead and try this set out today and get your $150 in free gifts? All right, and smile and nod your head. Gotcha. So that's how you want to do that. So asking for the order. So in terms of price presentation, that's where I rated you lower because it was mumbled, it was meshed, it wasn't clear. There was no like buy now, but like you didn't really explain. You're just like, if you want to get it today, I'll give you $350. I was like, what? It's kind of like nobody buys. They'll just give you a house for free if you buy it. Like you're just giving away everything. I think that devalues the product as well. So explaining why you're giving them something free. It's not like I'm desperate for this sale now, so I will give you $350. It's, hey, as a thank you for getting it today versus later. What is that saying? I know you're going to want it. Yeah. I know you want to get it. All right, but for getting it today versus later, as an incentive to buy now, I could actually give you $150 in free gifts as a thank you for getting it today. And so I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you, do you want to go ahead and try your homemaker out and get your $150 in free gifts? All right, so you could ask like that. Or you being more advanced, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you, do you want to go ahead and try out your homemaker and get your free gifts? You could pay in full or just put the deposit. So we can get it, try it out for a couple weeks, see how you like it, and then go from there. All right, so those are things you guys, so the price presentation, so asking for the order, like the third part, so the second part of like the actual comparison, what do you want to look at? They clearly explain it. They write down like the crossouts, right? Like, are they writing it? Is it a mess? Like if someone zones out and looks back, can they understand what was there? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I have seen this. I have seen someone do this. I saw this in someone's paper once. This was my skills check. Cool. So if a customer looks at this, if they zoned out, said, I have to pee, I have to pick up my kid, they weren't paying attention, they look at this paper, what does this mean to them?
Numbers.
I have no effing idea what all these numbers everywhere are.
Numbers.
Okay, so it's got to be really clear. So it's like, I tell them 4,000, I'm like, it's not that, it's not even as much as these. Hey, ours is only $12.12, all right? That's the price. So then write down, the 100% refundable deposit. If they're not using the deposit yet, then you can just put easy pay, interest-free or whatever, But this right here, the deposit, and you guys, if you want to close bigger, when customers see this, 3 weeks, try it out, they know what's happening. Cool? 100% deposit, 3 weeks, try it. And I'm like, it's for 20%. The deposit's 20% of any set that you want to try. So for this set, it would come out to $265. Cool? And so you can explain that, and then you can tell Miss Jones that you can call and pay it off, or after that, you can do the easy pay. It's interest-free, and basically you guys are putting aside $66 a week, which comes out to $33 each. If I'm seeing someone who's middle class, I always break it down to that because that's how I close all my bigger sales. All right? But it's got to be clear so that, again, if they zone out, they know what's happening, not just random numbers written down. They need to be able to understand it. So do they write numbers down clearly? That's what you're rating in part 2 is, does it look clear? Is it, do you hear it clearly? Because he actually wrote it down pretty good, but pretty good on his notebook. But he just said it so fast, I didn't even know what he said. But I know what he was saying. But if I was someone else, like, there's no way I understood what he said. But it looked good on paper. I just didn't understand what the heck he just said. So that's where you just want to really slow down. And then when you ask for the order, you're asking for the order was good, solid. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But just look at them. You want to make sure they look up. They look you between the eyes, smile, and say, do you want to go ahead and get that today? All right? And so expecting a yes. So that's a really big deal when you guys are going through with the closing. Sounds good? All right? So comments or questions with that? Is that you commenting or stretching?
Sure. On the asking for the order, what I've seen a lot of this summer is that people will follow the manual, but when they get to ask for the order, they literally change the person. And they go from being super excited to like, so it's like, do you want to get it today? And your customer is like super, super excited. And they're like, not after you ask me that way. Like, don't be scared to, and ask them to ask you, like, close me. Let me see how you do it. And a lot of what you'll find is a lot of the people, their facial expressions and their body language completely change from confidence to being scared. And you might not even realize it, but I've done enough of these to watch, and I'll see you guys, and you completely do something that just completely goes against with what you're saying. You contradict yourself, and then your customer loses confidence in you and everything else you say from there on out. So make sure that you practice this yourself and look yourself in the mirror and see, are you asking for the order? Are you looking them in the eyes? Are you even smiling? Because people are like, oh, I'm smiling. Their smiles like this. It's not a smile. Okay, so make sure you are the reflection of what you want to see in them too. Because your order, you have to be able to do all that perfectly. Or I shouldn't say perfectly, but a lot better than the average person. So check yourself and also check them to make sure their body language matches with what's coming out of their mouth.
And by the way, what he just said is what I see always happens when people go to recommendations as well. They totally warp, and they're totally like a different personality. And then they wonder why they don't get recs. And I'm like, who the hell are you? You know, who did I just spend an hour with? And like, who's this? Asking me for recs, because they totally change personality. All right. So do you have your rec binder with you? I know we've done this before, but I want to see. So now we close the sale. We saw what you want to get. Now I want to see you transition into asking for recommendations. So how do we ask for recommendations? So I got a homemaker.
You got a homemaker?
I did.
These are the 6 club.
All right. Okay. I got an all night set. All right, go.
Sorry, what?
Free all night set with a homemaker.
Jesus.
I gave someone a free all night set with a flower chest to upsell the deal because they were going to get a couple pieces, and then I upsold them to an all night set with a scissor free. But the wife really wanted flower chest. He wanted the homemaker. She wouldn't let him get it because they couldn't afford it today. And we dropped all the way down.
Wait.
Yeah, we dropped all the way down when we got to flatware. She's like, but we need that. You know, and she valued that. And he's like, but I thought we can't. No, but I've been waiting. I put aside money. We need flatware. And they were like arguing. And I was like, well, how about, I'm like, if you guys do that today, I was like, I'm paying for it. But if you guys do that, I'll just get you that set. Because the set's like 300 something points or whatever. So it was still, $900 order.
Yeah.
It's better they got hooked up big time, and I had bigger than a $300 CPO. I tripled my CPO, you know? So you learn for those win-wins, like when you need to maximize, I use that to upsell, you know, to a grand order. So, all right, let's go. So I just picked out what I wanted. All right, so how do you transition now from the order to recs?
Cool. So, hey, Kathy, how did you like my demo?
Oh, it's great.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, go ahead and pull out your cell phone because there's one more very important part.
Okay, I'm going to talk to Drew. We're going to get that taken out of the manual because I hate that. Take out your cell phone. They all say it's so awkward. They say it's so awkward. Everyone I skills check from every office are like, and they feel awkward saying it, but they're like, take out your cell phone, and they feel weird telling the customer that. Like, I don't like that verbiage.
I use the need example, so I tell people, I go, just add in could you, like, to be like, I can't tell them. I'm like, but you're not, and I just use your.
I don't even like asking them that. I'm just like, oh, here's one more hard part because you can really help me out. And they go through it, and then at the end, I'm just like, oh, you're allowed to cheat. You can use your cell phone, address book, cell phones, whatever you want, you know. But like in the beginning, a lot of the new guys are just awkward with that, though.
The idea, the reason why Drew has it there is because all the top people have them grab their cell phone.
I know, but that's more advanced, and all the new guys feel awkward as shit reading from the manual saying that.
Did you just say it awkward? Do you think?
He's still a little awkward.
Yeah.
Really?
I think it just needs to just sit with confidence. Hey, could you? But then again, you have to go and take a could you. It's like, could you?
Yeah. No, if it said could you, it's better. It's just, and most people that I've talked to, the newer guys, they just feel really weird. You know, like it's, so for someone who's brand new, who's just reading the manual, it's just weird. You know, for someone that, I think that that's a good advanced tip. Or if we said, oh, could you grab your phone? We have a little, like, one more thing, you know, you can help me out with or whatever. Like, anyway, I'll look at that with him. But anyway, go ahead, keep going. That's fine.
Still say it like how I know.
Sure. Yep.
Take it out? Okay. Cool. So, hey, Kathy, how did you like my demo?
You did great.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, go ahead and pull out your cell phone because there's one more very important part, and here's where you can really help me out. So I get paid every time I show Cutco, but I can only show it to people I've been personally recommended to, like yourself. So what I need you to do while I'm writing up your order is to just go ahead and jot down just anywhere between 300 to 400 of your best friends. No, I'm joking. Just 20 to 30 would be perfectly fine. I'm not looking for anyone that'll buy, just people nice enough like you that are willing to hear me out. So here's a pen and paper, and go ahead and jot down as many as you can.
All right, cool. Is that everything? I heard from the back. What did you say?
2 sheets.
Always hand 2 sheets.
Gotcha.
You will get more. So solid job. I'm gonna do it right back to you. So one thing that I didn't see is where is the paper with your signatures? Do you not have one?
Yeah, I do. It was supposed to be right here. So
okay, so we're gonna
back in here or somewhere in the.
Cool. That's an important thing. So I would go back. So let me show you how we do it. We're going to pretend like this is a sponsorship sheet with signatures, unless anyone has. Do you have one in there with signatures on it?
Billy has
Yeah,
You guys good.
Here.
You didn't explain.
There you go.
Yeah, he just got another one. Okay, we're done. Yeah, throw it in there. So here we go. So at the end, no, in the beginning, you just say, oh, here's my sponsorship to Freeway. I'll show you that at the end. So at the end, I go back to here and I go, hey, so do you remember the sponsorship that I told you about in the beginning?
Yeah.
Cool. So here's where you can really help me out. So I get paid every time I show Cutco, and I can only call people I'm personally recommended to. So what I need you to do while I clean this mess and write down the order is to jot down like, 200 to 300 people who might be nice enough to help me out. I'm just kidding. 20 to 30 is fine. And I'm not looking for anyone you think would buy, just anyone super nice like you to take a look. And so here's how my sponsorship works. When I get 50 sponsors, I get a $150 reward. All you have to do to be a sponsor is jot down 10 names. So if you fill out a full sheet, like Julie did, you would sign 3 times. Same thing with Francisco, Kelsey. If you get to, let's say you get just to 20, like Bertha, you would sign twice. And even if you only get to 10, like Gabriella did, you would still sign once. And then when I get all 50 signatures, I actually get the $150 reward. Cool? So here's a couple sheets. Jot down as many as you can. Is it cool if I use a sync?
Yeah, sure.
And then I go. And that's step 1 of the recommendations of like asking and explaining the sponsorship properly. But things that you want to, so 1, do they have their 3 bullets down? Cool. I don't really care how they lead into it. But do they have the bullets? Are they asking like, I get paid every time I show Cutco and I can only call people I've been personally recommended to. So what I need you to do while I'm cleaning up is to jot down 200 to 300 people. And when they do that, they need to open their eyes. Cool. Nonverbals are huge because you have to make sure to remind them it's a joke. It's made to be a joke. So you're like, oh, what I need. So you're not like, I need you to write people. It's actually a joke. So you can be needy, you can be pushy, like, I need this. You're like, I need this. Or it's just made to be a joke. I'm like, oh, what I need you to do is to jot down 200 to 300 people who might be nice enough to help me out. They're like, I'm just kidding. 20, 30 is fine. And I wouldn't say, oh, this is perfectly. I've heard some people be like really like, oh no, that's fine. Like 20 is like perfect. Like it's great. Like you didn't say it that much. You're just like, oh, perfectly fine. But some people will be like, oh, that's totally enough. I don't say that bullshit. There's no totally enough. I want 100, you know, I want more. 20 is not perfectly enough, you know? So don't overdo it on that either. They're just like, hey, 200 to 300 people who might be nice. And I'm like, just kidding, 20, 30 is fine. And I'm not looking for anyone you think would buy, just anyone nice like you to take a look, all right? Those 3 bullets they have to have down. Make them say it over and over and over until they get them down, cool? Then, are they explaining the sponsorship properly? So when I get 50 sponsors, I get a $150 award. All you have to do to be a sponsor is jot down 10 names, cool? And you wanna point, the whole thing with this is to point to the examples. So when you fill out a sheet like this, you would sign 3 times. You know, and I show them different ones. I'm like, when you get to 20, you sign twice. And I like that I have to go through yours. I'm like, so like, oh wow, a lot of people give them 30. I'm like, let's say you only got to 20, you can sign 2. And even if you only got to 10, like Gabriella, you sign once. And when I get all 50 signatures, I actually get the $150 award. Then you always give them 2 sheets with marked targets. The highlights are great. Psychologically, there's somewhere for them to go to. More advanced is some of our guys, I remember putting stickers on them, putting whatever, like other stuff that attracted them. I always did an arrow to 10, a smiley face on 20, stars on 30, you know, and I was like, shoot for the stars, all right? But I'd hand them 2 blank sheets with marked targets, and then I'd have fun. I'm like, hey, if you fill out 2 sheets, you go my favorite customer book. If not, I'm like, I'm just kidding. I'm like, is it cool if I use this thing? All right, but first is you're asking and explaining the sponsorship properly. Cool? Now they're writing. The average person is writing how many names typically?
3
A handful. Yep, 3 to 5. Typically is what they're writing down because they're thinking of people that will. Even though you told them, anybody, they still always think of that. And that's fine. Now let them write. So now when you see them slowing down, what are you saying to them? Which ones?
Pretty much not gonna buy.
All right, not yet. General thought joggers, top of page 17. Make sure they're doing top. Neighbors, family, work. So general thought joggers. Cool. That's step that. Because by the way, when you do it like this, you milk it. You get more. That's it. All right. You're just milking it. So from the beginning, they write whoever's in their head. Then you're like, oh, who's nice from work? Who's nice from church? Who's nice from the neighborhood? If you have specific things you guys talked about in the beginning, oh, who do you guys go fishing with? You know, like bring those up there. But you're just brainstorming. I'm like, hey, don't forget. You know, they don't have to buy anybody who's super nice like you, whatever, you know. And so once they finish the general thought joggers and they give that back to you, and like, okay, here you go, and they're done, then we do what? Hand it right back. So I grab it and I say, oh, thank you so much. And I just slide it back. And that's where I go, now, who do you know who won't buy, but they don't hate college kids? You know, who do you know that won't buy, but they don't hate high school seniors? Who do you know that won't buy, but they don't hate brown people? No, I'm just kidding. Don't say that. Listen, so we hand them that, and then we just say, hey, who do you know who won't buy, but they work and eat? Who do you know that won't buy, but they use knives for their food? All right, cool. And they're like, haha. I'm like, seriously, anybody who's super nice. And this is, and you might have said it earlier, either later or here. I'm like, oh, you're allowed to cheat. I'm like, address books, directories, and that's in the general thought joggers as well on page 17. But if you haven't said it, you know, bring it up here. But this is where now I'll grab the super thought jogger sheet and say, hey, who do you know who entertains? Who do you know that knows everybody? And you can create your own and encourage them to create their own. That's an example. That's one of my guys, Donovan Taylor, that made that one down in Miami. Make your own. Who are people you want to meet? What are neighborhoods you want to get into? What are they like? What kind of like? I love people with like beautiful homes, big pools, people that like to entertain, throw parties, people that love to cook. So, you know, make your own list or utilize that. But now you go through a bunch of specific thought joggers, and then you go, oh, and by the way, I can also do what? Virtual demos. And so you show them the map, and you go, my goal is to sell in all 50 states. Who do you know? And I'm more specific with virtuals. I actually say, who do you know that you think would love Cutco who doesn't live here? Because they have at least 1 or 2 of those. And I like to get those people because those are easy sales, and I get more of those, you know? So I always ask them, like, yeah, who do you know who'd like Hako, but you can be general with those too, because those are regular demos. I didn't have time to see everybody. I knew I could only see the top couple people from each list because my schedule was jam-packed and I could only do 7 demos a week. And I wanted tons of recommendations and I'd give other people stuff, but if I got 20, 30 recs from each person, and I got a couple extra virtuals that I could throw down of people they knew like to cook, like to entertain, would like the products. I'm like, whether you think they'll buy or not, if they like to cook, you think they like cook, whether they buy or not, I would love to see them. And I'd throw those extra virtuals in, whenever. All right, huh?
If I was your kid,
Yeah, it's a great one. And so now by the way, that's when I'm done getting that list together, that's the next thing is targeting who are their top 3 to 5. Hey, if I was your daughter, who would you tell me to go see first? Or hey, if you were me, who would you go see first? And they're like, oh, Archie, you need to see Julie. Like, he loves to cook. She'll love this stuff. And, and they like start, and they start people. And I'm like, all right, awesome. And that's where then, for those who are getting yeses, that's where I ask them like, hey, is there any way you can help me get in contact with those 3? I'm like, I would love to meet them. I'm like, if they're your best people, I'm like, sometimes people just don't pick up numbers they don't know. I was like, and I definitely would love to set up an appointment with them. And that's where I use the coaching sheet to tell them like what to say, what not to say. So that's more advanced, but like that's the full, first you just need to make sure they have their freaking approach and they know how to hand 2 sheets. Like, let's get that down, and how to thought jog with them. And then getting yeses, calling, texting, those are additional things that they want to be doing. And it's in their manual, but it just, we want to make sure they have like the foundation, that they're just getting a lot of names before they get all fancy. They can always ask for the top people. It's just always good to know. But in terms of like having them call them, all that, like I usually don't teach that right up in the beginning because they're having trouble enough just being confident getting names, so being confident asking them to call them is another level of confidence. If they're not confident even asking for names or asking for what they want, they're not going to be confident asking them to call them, So if I do have someone who's super confident getting tons of names in their first couple of days, I'll teach them to like ask them like, hey, can you call these top people? Because they're like, yeah, like they have no problem asking. But you as a manager, you'll gauge confidence. Just know they need to have the basics, the foundations down first. Cool. So questions or comments with that?
I do have one thing I was going to mention about how you said about getting their phone out. I feel like, because I know you mentioned about taking it out, I feel like it is kind of self-explanatory though. Because like, I know most of the time I have kind of personally kind of taken that part out.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, usually when you say it, they're like, oh, okay. And they pull their phone out. Because they're not just going to know people's numbers off the top of their head.
Mm-hmm.
They might know like their mom or their sister, but they know names, but they don't know numbers off the top of their head anyway. So that's their first thing they do is pull their phone out. I would ask them for names and stuff anyway. And it says name and number. Like I said, most people don't have their numbers, just like written down over their arm or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's just wild because even like brand new reps, it's so crazy to me. And even some of you guys are some of those people where you're just like scared to ask them for recommendations. It's like, why the hell are you scared to ask them for recs? All right. No, I'm just saying people are, I didn't get that. I'm like, what? I'm like, we had a great time. Why would they not recommend me? But a lot of people are